Hi, I'm Eugene Gienger, Certified Holistic Nutrition, Health and Wellness Counselor in Wayne, Pennsylvania, and introducing another Collision Cuisine recipe for you. This time the squash and seaweed stew. Now, in order to make this recipe, which you will find on your collisioncuisine.com website, we need a little bit of pre-preparation, which is to prepare your beans properly. Now, I've recommended white beans, and in this particular recipe I used Great Northern beans. But beans are a very, very important thing to prepare properly. Now, I'm not saying that you can't, in an emergency, use some canned beans, but please apologize to your colon before you do so, because I know for myself that every time I used canned beans, I get gas. Whenever I prepare the beans properly, using, the scientific way, I never get gas. So, here's what you need to do to prepare your beans properly. You need to soak them overnight, covered with water, and with a little bit of apple cider vinegar in the water, which will get rid of the phytic acid and other anti-nutrients and enzyme inhibitors in the outside of the bean, which your body is not able to digest. And so, in the morning, you drain off the water and rinse the bean, and then you're ready to begin cooking. So you bring the water to the boil, and a very, very great thing to put into your cooking water is a slice or a strip of kelp or kombu, which helps to tenderize the beans while they're cooking. Also, if you're fine with garlic, a little bit of minced garlic will also help the cooking process. And so, while the beans are cooking, you'll notice that you get foam, which you need to skim off and get rid of, because that's getting rid of some more indigestible things that you don't want. And then, right near the end of your cooking process, which might be an hour or an hour and a half, depending on the particular bean, then you need to add your salt right at the end. And of course, I recommend Himalayan salt. And also you need to add one of two spices, either cumin or fennel, depending on whether you want a more savory, pungent flavor or the sweeter fennel. And either one of those are going to also help the digestibility of the beans. Okay? So, it's good to just have some pre-prepared beans around all the time, especially when you want to make a recipe like this, because the rest of it is relatively quick, and you've got your beans ready to go. And like I say, in an emergency, you can crack open the can of beans. But do eat again, prepare and eat as a raw foodist at heart. Have your digestive enzyme supplement handy, because it will be needed to help you digest the beans in particular. And also, because this is a cooked dish, it will help to restore some of the enzymes that are lost in the cooking process. Okay, so we need to have wakame, which is a wonderful seaweed or a sea vegetable. And you can get your wakame in two different forms. You can get it in strips, and you soak those in some warm water for 15, or you can soak it up to an hour if you need to. You can also get wakame that comes pre-chopped. And again, you soak that in your warm water. And then basically after that, it's just kind of layering things with the wakame at the bottom and some water, preferably filtered water, in your cooking pot. And then your other vegetables, the onion, cut into 8 pieces, and the burdock root. Burdock root is a fabulous, fabulous food, which we all need because it's highly mineralized, which alkalinizes the body. And so, it's also a potent blood purifier and an energizer. And in all traditional cultures, burdock root is in fact the major herb for lungs and skin. So it's an herb that we need to have in our diet on a regular basis. It looks like a long moldy whip. It looks quite dirty and disgusting, but you just scrub it a little bit and chop it into slices and layer it in the stew here. And then your butternut squash, which again is a sweet vegetable and is a wonderful, wonderful way to start to get on top of things like sugar cravings. You'll be very amazed at how if you add sweet vegetables into your diet, you will not have as many sugar cravings. Now, I've done it really, really radical tonight. I did it with the skin on because I'm a purist, and I think if it grows in nature this way, it all needs to go in the food. And that's why I never give anything away or throw it into the garbage or feed it to the birds. If it grew that way in nature, that's how I think it ought to be in your food, because there's a natural synergy there. Okay, and then the beans. And then my favorite of all condiments is tamari, which is a naturally brewed soy sauce without any wheat. Okay, your tamari is a great all-purpose condiment for anything savory. And so that all gets cooked together, and then we add in the celery and the cabbage. Now for this recipe today, I used red cabbage, thinking of the faint at heart, because you can't distinguish between the red cabbage and the seaweed in the dish. So it's a little helpful in that way. If you use green cabbage, you can very easily distinguish the sea vegetable, and that might be a stumbling block for some people. But here you can't tell the difference. It all mixes together. And then finally, mirin, which is rice wine, which is another oriental condiment. And finally, as much Himalayan salt as you like to make it flavorful. And so this is a very rich, nourishing, and well-balanced food. So eating this kind of a stew with the sweet vegetable in it, you will feel very satisfied, and you get a nice even rise to your blood sugar. And that's partly because too we have the beans in the stew, which add a good quality of protein. And this is a highly alkalinizing food as well. The only acidifying thing in it would actually be the beans. So it counterbalances all the vegetables. And it's a very delicious stew. So enjoy.